Hello, my name's Claire. I have to be quiet because everybody's sleeping. Can you guys hear the wind outside? Anyways, I'm Claire and I love to explore. Adventure is out there and it's calling my name. Claire. See? Can you hear it? I told you it's calling my name. Last week, you guys heard all about the Northern Lights, which was one of my greatest adventures. But things didn't quite go my way. When I realized that God is always with me, it reminded me that I can worship by putting my hope in God. And speaking of things not going my way, do you want to hear about the craziest adventure that I've ever been on? You do? Great. I've always dreamt of climbing to the peak of Mount Everest. Mount Everest is located right here in Nepal. Mount Everest is a peak. It's the highest peak in the whole world. Wow. I trained for this hike forever. I trained physically, and I trained mentally, and then I packed my bag and I headed to the mountain. I brought games so I wouldn't get bored and plenty of snacks because of course I don't want to be hungry. I finally arrived here at the base camp. It's like a starting and stopping place for hikers. For me, it was where I could begin my greatest adventure. When my turn came to put on my pack, I have to tell you guys, it was too heavy. I couldn't even lift it. So I did what had to be done. I dumped out the things in my pack. It was extremely embarrassing. I clearly needed some help, but right there in the middle of the mess, I found a book that comes with me on all of my adventures. Look, it's my Bible. It was lying open right here where it's marked, in the book of Psalms. See? Do you know where the Psalms come from? They were songs written to express emotions and thoughts to God. I started to read Psalms 80, and here's what it said in verses 8 through 11. You brought a vine out of Egypt. You drove out the nations and planted it. You cleared the ground for it. It took deep root and filled the land. The mountains were covered with its shade, the mighty cedars with its branches. It sent out its branches to the sea and its shoots to the river. In what I read, a guy named Asaph was talking to God about a vine. Asaph was thinking of the people of Israel. It was likely that his relatives were some of the first temple musicians, and they saw the promises of God happening before their eyes. And the verses we just read, the vine of Israel was blessed and happy in the promised land. See, the vine represented God's people. Their people had filled the land. Israel had grown strong and big like Mount Everest, but in a different way. But then something happened. Listen to verses 12 and 13. Why then have you broken down its walls, so that all who pass along the way pluck its fruit? The boar from the forest ravages it, and all that move in the field feed on it. In ancient Israel, a vineyard or a large piece of land growing vines was surrounded by a thorny hedge or wall that kept out all the wild animals, which we don't have much of here at Mount Everest because it's so cold. Here we read that the walls around the promised land had been taken down and the vine of Israel had been destroyed. Asaph looked at Israel's current troubles and saw that it seemed like the once healthy and protected vine now was no longer thriving or protected at all. Asaph, who was sad about what he saw, decided to pray, begging God to help Israel. Listen to verses 14 through 19. Turn again, O God of hosts. Look down from heaven and see. Have regard for this vine, the stock that your right hand planted, and for the son whom you made strong for yourself. They have burned it with fire. They have cut it down. May they perish at the rebuke of your face. But let your hand be on the man of your right hand, the Son of Man whom you have made strong for yourself. Then we shall not turn back from you. Give us life, and we will call upon your name. Restore us, O Lord of hosts. Let your face shine, that we may be saved. When things took a turn and there seemed to be a different story happening for Israel, Asaph did his best to ask God why and to ask him for help. Reading Psalms 80 reminded me to stop and pray right there on the spot. Or like tomorrow when I climb, if it's hard, I can stop and I can pray that God will help me. Like Asaph, I needed to worship God to ask for help too. As I watched my friends leave for the big climb, I asked someone who had climbed the mountain before to help me repack my bag. As I